Hello, I'm Josh George here, doing my Pac-12 season prediction, starting with the Northern Division. Starting with Oregon State here. Now, Oregon State is a team that I'm not high on. They've just really seemed to have struggled here. They've got 9 starters back on offense, but the problem is that offense was only 60th in scoring offense, and in 2019, Oregon State came within a final minute defensive stand of beating Washington State, and from ending their bowl drought. But the truth is, they were 2-5 last season. They lost the game, and they're just one of the youngest teams in college football. Several freshmen, lots of new faces. I got them 3-9 and 1-8 in conference play. Now to Washington State. Washington State is a team that seems to have lost luster on offense, as they were 75th in total offense and 41st in passing offense last season. Now, they've got different quarterbacks that they're looking at, and they've got a couple seniors there, so they could have experience there. But how far can this team really go? To tell you the whole truth, their defense was 111th in total defense, and they've got to figure out a way to stop other running backs, because their run defense wasn't all that good, and their special teams wasn't that great in the Pac-12. Frankly, I've got them at 4-8 and 2-7 in conference play. Now, to Cal Berkeley. Cal Berkeley is an interesting team. Justin Wilcox could be one of the coaches that ends up getting fired, certainly if they underperform this year. They only won 1 game last season, and ironically, that 1 game was against Oregon. And the Ducks are a decent football team, but I don't know. Their last bowl game was the Red Box Bowl in 2019. I don't see them going to a bowl game this year. I've got them at 4-8 and 3-6. Now, Stanford, the Cardinals. See, they have always seems to have been really good under head coach David Shaw. They've had some really good quarterbacks, including Andrew Luck in this system. And Tanner McKee, a lot of people say he has that kind of talent, or at least the kind of talent to be successful in this system. And they have 6 offensive starters around him, and an offense that needs improving, as it was 45th in total offense last season. So they could improve. They lost their first 2 games and kind of got thumped at Oregon and against Colorado before having a COVID game canceled for Washington State. But really, they didn't play that many games. Wound up 4-2. Could be on an upward trend, but ultimately it's, can McKee replace Mills at quarterback, and can this defense step up to the challenge? I've got them 6-6 and 5-4 in conference play. Now, to Washington, to the Huskies. Look, the Huskies' biggest news, I think, is the fact that they have Buki at defensive back this year, transferred from OU. Look, the truth is, this defensive secondary, it's kind of stacked, but it is kind of short, especially with Buki. So their secondary could really sink. This offense is going to definitely be questionable as well. How consistent can they be? A lot of people are high on Washington, thinking that they're going to win the games they're supposed to be. But the truth is, their passing defense was 13th last year. If that goes away in a team that didn't do well against the run, as they finished 59th against the run, and ended up losing to Stanford in a close game, and then had that Oregon game canceled and wound up not making the Pac-12 title game, we'll see. I think they win the games they're supposed to. I think they struggle against Michigan. I think Michigan's big receivers give them problems. But overall, I think they find a way to win a lot of close games. 10-2 and 8-1 for them. To the Ducks of Oregon. They had a quarterback transfer to Texas Tech. which leaves them with senior Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown is one of those quarterbacks surrounded by talent. 9 other offensive starters coming back, and a team that won the Pac-12 last year. And they have Kevin Thibodeau, probably the best defensive lineman in the Pac-12, and he'll be a huge star. He'll show up on a bunch of lists. He's a big starter. Their season will hinge, as far as the college football playoff chances, on that Ohio State game, and that's a tough trip. It's almost an unwinnable game. That team is way more talented than they are, and they got thumped in a Fiesta Bowl to Iowa State. So that last season, so that shows me that they might not be up to snuff as far as the top talent in the nation. They may be the most talented team in the Pac-12, and certainly the most talented team in their division. In 2019, they were the best team against the spread in the Pac-12, as they were 8-5 against the spread. So, food for thought. I've got them at 10-2, 8-1 in conference play. To the south, Arizona, a team that seems to have constantly been rotating coaches, a team that plays a tough non-conference in BYU. San Diego State's going to really want to get their hands on this team. They seem to constantly be rotating coaching staffs. They've got a new head coach in Jed Fish, and so lots of new faces, possibly starting a freshman quarterback. I've got them at 3-9 and 1-8 in conference play. Now, to Colorado. The Buffaloes seem to be on an upward trend as they won their first 4 games last season and struggled against Texas, a much more talented team in the bowl game, losing 23-55, and had a game against Oregon canceled. But 4-2 wasn't that bad. Their biggest feature will be Jerk Brochard. He's a good player, good running back. Maybe the top running back in the Pac-12. Certainly an underrated running back, as he's only 5'9" and 185. So, short, under the radar, a guy that you might miss, and a guy that's going to have a huge impact, as this team was 23rd in rushing offense last season. That could improve, and a top 25 rushing team, grind-out team, could be huge for them. I've got the Buffaloes at 3-9 and 2-7. UCLA. Darian Thomas Robinson has been the guy. He's got a backup transfer this year. Chip Kelly has been, people have said he's on the hot seat. He's got a .32 winning percentage at UCLA, age 10-21. He's 56-28 overall. Last season, he won 3 games. COVID gave everyone a pass, it seemed like. Certainly, Kelly would have been on that list with a full season this year. I think he could be in trouble. The thing is, with 9 starters back on offense, an offense that was number 1 in efficiency at Oregon in Kelly's last season, was 21st in total offense, and seems to be turning around. He seems to have that mobile quarterback that he needs, and he's a senior this year. So if the defense can stay average, and it was 69th in total defense, 30th in rushing defense, found a way to stop the run, could be good enough to get him to a bowl game. And we'll see what the Bruins do with Chip Kelly if he goes 6-6 and 4-5 in conference play like I have them. Now, to the Utes of Utah. They have the best defensive line in the Pac-12, and honestly, with the exception of Clemson, maybe even in the nation. They won their last 3 games. They got off to a rough start, losing their first 2, though. But Sac Lake City showed up in a big way, as they were 11th in rushing defense. They get after the quarterback like nobody else, and Devin Lloyd is definitely going to be a part of that. And they've got their top 2 linebackers and all of their defensive linemen back from last season. They also have 2 huge transfers from the Big 12 coming in, as they have Charlie Brewer from Baylor, who will be their transfer quarterback, and T.J. Pledger, OU's third-string running back, to transfer in, who showed some excitement and showed some flashes in OU's biggest rival against Texas last season. So he's fast, and he's got hands, and he's good. So this team could be really good. Could be Kyle Whittingham's most talented team that he's ever had. I've got him at 7-5 and 5-4 just because I don't know how consistent this team can be because of all these new faces on offense. Now, Arizona State. Herm the Worm Edwards has been a guy who nobody was betting on. He's got 11 starters back on defense and probably has the best defense this year. They were 3-1 against the spread. They keep games close. They find a way to win late. I think that's the kind of team they're going to be. Rashard White might be the best running back in the nation, and Jaden Daniels is a quarterback that is going to be one of the most efficient in the nation. So a top offense that finds a way to win in the desert. I've got them at 10-2 and 7-2 in conference play. Now, to the Trojans of USC. USC, they might have a coach on the hot seat. They might have a quarterback controversy. They're ranked 22 in preseason polls right now, but Clay Helton and just how good will he be? Well, honestly, this team's undefeated until they played Oregon, where they lost by a touchdown, and COVID really hurts this team. You know, finding a quarterback, will it be Scholes? I think that is a challenge. And they've only had 11 NFL draft picks in the past 3 seasons, so that's not good. This team isn't as talented nationally as they should be, and some people think that they may be dropping off, but they were 17th in turnover margin and 40th in total defense, 46th in total offense, and a team that might seem very average, but they find a way to win the close games in the Pac-12, and they've got the helmet sticker. My gut says 10-2, 8-1 in conference play. Conference championship will feature Oregon and USC. It'll be a close game, but Helton saves his job. He wins the Pac-12. They go 11-2. Oregon falls to 10-3. I'm Josh George. This was the Pac-12 preview.